Hi everybody, it's Celeste. I'm here today to do a check-in on the General Collective. Sorry it took me so long to come back. I meant to do one last week and didn't get to it because I have a lot going on right now. It's just been a really busy month, and I am finally in physical therapy for my ankle, so that's getting better. But let's just have a peek at the General Collective. We'll see what's going on and see if we can tease out a story here and get you some guidance. If the reading doesn't work for you, don't try to make anything fit. I feel like this should go without being said, but I don't want anybody sitting around waiting for tarot readings because they're in so much, discomfort. If you're in that much discomfort, you should probably check in with me for a coaching session and we can look at your situation directly. But tarot can be a really good resource for tuning into what's going on in your kind of subconscious. And it can give you a lot of really good guidance for how to hold yourself. All right, so there's one thing coming out already. We have the moon. So this is the subconscious. Sometimes we refer to it as the feminine. It is the intuitive parts of self. There's some heartbreak going on there. Something that, is that 2 cards or 1? It feels like, I don't know why I thought it was 2. There's some heartbreak going on, some disappointment, whatever it is. This is really, really uncomfortable. And so normally, the moon doesn't necessarily mean that anything, it doesn't necessarily mean anything to do with disempowerment. But I have a sense here from these other cards that whatever it is that's going on with you, you're struggling with disempowerment. You're feeling like you're not in control. You're feeling like the rug was pulled out from underneath you in some way. There's been a huge disappointment. If this is about a relationship, it'll show as we go further on. You know how that kind of works, the way that I read. I don't necessarily, sometimes I think I should do relationship readings and then career readings. But then I'm I just kind of want to see what comes out of the deck. I don't want to force anything. I just want to read the cards as they fall. So what I see here is that I see somebody who has been very disappointed, very let down by something, and now they are struggling to make a choice. But they're not feeling led. They're not feeling particularly guided, even though they may think that that is the correct thing. You know how people be your gut will tell you what to do and you're not feeling it for some reason. Yeah, you're either wanting to start something new, I feel like you should be starting something new, you should be turning the page and getting over this, whatever this is. And this is the energy that you are wanting to be in, that you're feeling like you should be in, you should be either, so Page of Swords can be speaking out about something that happened, but it can also just be turning the page in your life and putting your attention on something new. So it's okay, I lost the job. I'm going to go put myself out there and see what comes back to me. But I have a feeling that you're not in this energy yet. This is a restless energy. 4 of Swords can be very restless. See, the little heart is still, this heart is still tucked up beside you. So even though you're feeling like you should be past it, you're not. You're kind of cocooned down, your insides are still cocooned down with this this wish that did not happen for you. I do feel that this is a relationship for somebody. Yeah, there's a King of Pentacles here. And the 8 of Swords. I'm going to pull one more on the 8 of Swords. I feel like you were released from something that was really hurting you to be, whoops, look at me throwing things. The Emperor just peeked out, as I said, something that was really hurting you. I have a sense of like controllingness, and I don't know if that's you or them, but maybe you were hanging on to whatever this was really, really, really tightly. And now it's done. And you're just still having a hard time letting go of it. You're having a hard time freeing yourself from it. Like knowing that you need to and being able to do that are two different things, right? You have to wait for the process to sort of do its course, run its course. Yeah, you're waiting and you're in this energy of sort of tending to yourself and maybe starting to tend to, like you're trying to plant some seeds on whatever new that you want to bring into your life. Even sometimes after we get out of a relationship, it's not time to get into a new one. It's time to focus on something else that will make us feel more fulfilled, because you'll never really find fulfillment in a relationship until you meet some of those needs that you have for yourself. And you have the Page of Pentacles here. I think that you're feeling, whatever this loss was, it has you feeling a sense of lack. Perhaps even on this physical plane, like with your finances. Maybe you lost, if it was a relationship, maybe you lost like physical property in the breakup. If it was a job, then you're reeling from the loss of income. And there's that King of Wands. I'm just setting that aside because it kind of fell out and I wanted to take it, but I'm not positive how it fits here. This is you hunkering down in a new project, which is, honestly, that's really good energy. That we have the progression from the Seven of Pentacles to the Eight of Pentacles. And that tells me that you're planting seeds and your intention here is to work on this craft, to work on building. And we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So that feeling of loss, you are determined. Yeah, okay, this is you, perhaps. This could be some of your fiery do-it energy. Kind of committing yourself to doing the work necessary to get over this, whether that's emotional work, okay? It could be emotional. Just because it's Pentacles doesn't mean that there's not an emotional aspect to it. Could be doing your inner work. Could actually be doing some outer work to assure that you never feel in this position of loss. There's so many Pentacles in this reading already. It's quite strong. We have the 2, the 7, the Page, the 8, and the King. So there is something here about really trying to nail something in the physical. There could be a need here to get more connected to your body. Maybe you've been neglecting your health. Maybe you haven't been very grounded. King of Swords, cutting out the extraneous, pardon my French, I'm just going to say it, the bullshit, cutting out the bullshit. King of Swords does not put up with any stuff that is just like a distraction. He's not having it. That could be you. If this was a love relationship that you lost, there are 3 kings on the table. I feel this represents the king that you let go of. And there's 2 new kings coming in here, okay? And what that tells me is, first of all, you may have, there may be options kind of, or you may start noticing some other people. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to jump into a relationship. It doesn't mean that you're looking for a relationship. But if you are, you could have some interest coming up. But these could also be aspects of yourself. They don't have to be another person. It could be aspects of yourself. It could also be a female in her active energy. Getting stuff done. Yeah, and we have the Queen of Cups. I think this is going to unsettle you a little bit. Something about this whole process is unsettling you. You're feeling, I think maybe you're not letting yourself grieve. Like you're trying to you're trying to skip the healing almost. Trying to focus on this other stuff, but trying to skip the emotions. You're getting into this passion, into this using your intellect, grounding in your body. But there's something here about emotions, because the only 2 cups on the table, actually there isn't even another cup on the table. The only cups on the table is this Queen of Cups, disempowered. And so that is about not, kind of bypassing emotions, basically. You don't want to get into your emotions because it's going to hurt. You're avoiding them. Just checking my alignment on my camera. Looks all right. 6 of Cups. Okay, so this is a reminder to get into your heart space. What I'm seeing here, so sometimes this card means reconciliation, but what I'm seeing here in this particular deck is there's a child, there's a dog. This could, I think the point is that this is him grown up with his dog. So there's something here about coming back to basics, remembering who you were before the heartbreak happened and getting in touch with that. This being loyal to yourself. And 6 of Cups is a heart connection. So connecting to yourself in your heart. It's really saying that in order to get through this, there has to be an aspect of dealing with these emotions that you'd really rather not feel, because they're very, very uncomfortable. An 8 of Cups. Yeah. So there's that tendency to want to run from the feelings, this tendency to want to turn your back on them. And Spirit is here telling you that you cannot skip this. If you want to come out of this and not repeat this cycle with the next person that comes into your life, then you need to deal with this. Don't run. Feel your feelings. Yeah. This is about a commitment. In this reading, the Hierophant here is about a commitment. Making a commitment to your higher self that you're going to get through this right this time. You're not going to repeat the cycle. You are going to listen to your guidance. You are going to listen to your higher self. This is about a contract with your higher self that this is the time to get through this thing. It could, in some situations, it could signify that there's an alternate reading. I hate to say this, but there's an alternate reading for somebody here that if you've had a breakup, there may be some kind of reconciliation. The Hierophant can be about a relationship that has a contract. So this could be like a soul contract or a physical contract, like a marriage. So it could be that you're thinking about who you want to be with in the future, thinking about what kind of energy you want to bring into a relationship. It could also be that somebody that you're going to marry or commit to on that level, a soulmate, or perhaps a spouse is coming. But in order to access that, you have to deal with this energy. That if you can start to face those emotions, then that will be your reward. I'm still getting strong creative vibes here. So if you walked, if the project, if it was about a job or a project that failed, this can also symbolize that you're going to be finding a new job. There's going to be a new, so this would be like basically a new pathway to your destiny will open up through this hard work and through processing your feelings about losing it, that there could be a new avenue for success that opens up for you. But you have to trust it, and you have to open to it. Like, just because there's a stairway there doesn't mean you're going to climb. And somebody who is running away may climb that staircase just to get away from the old thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to end up where you want to end up. We have the Three of Pentacles in reverse here. Clarified by the Ten of Swords and the Three of Wands, both reversed. So what they're telling me is that this is a time where you can be in tremendous, this is all about, there's so much resistance on the table, right? So this is all about releasing resistance to what is. And sometimes when we're in resistance to what is, sometimes that looks like longing for the past, and sometimes it means pushing for the future or pushing the river. And what this is telling me is that there's a need to be present now, to pay attention to the opportunities that you have now. And we don't run toward an opportunity just because it presents itself. We make sure that it aligns with our highest good. We have the Three of Pentacles, that's working with other people. And Ten of Swords, that's an ending, right? And then the Three of Wands, that is waiting for new opportunities to come in. And there's resistance all over this. So there's like this fear of moving on. There's this fear of being trapped. There's this fear of never moving on. I want to pull some more cards to get some strength. I want to know what strengths you're bringing to this situation. It can be very hard sometimes to find your strength when you're in this energy of, like, you're just frantically trying to find the next thing is what I feel here. And when you stop trying so hard to find the new thing, you get sort of lost in the past. There's a huge need for presence. And so I'm asking Spirit to show me something that you can hang on to in the present moment. The truth. The truth of this situation. There is a truth about it that you know. Okay, there's that Two of Pentacles again. The truth is that maybe the truth is that you always needed to make this choice, and Spirit just made that choice for you because you weren't making the choice to end the thing. You weren't walking away from the thing. And so Spirit stepped in to take care of that for you. Yeah. And the truth is that ultimately this is what you wanted. It just didn't happen the way that you wanted it to. Maybe you didn't even know how you wanted it to happen. But for whatever reason, this ending is a good thing. This ending is cause for celebration because it was something that you knew wasn't working out all along. You always had that sort of either or energy. This is an indecisive energy. You always had that. And Spirit just stepped in and made the decision for you. Yeah. You wanted this ending. You didn't want the pain that came with it. You didn't want to have to face the parts of yourself that you now have to face, because when you lose a job, or I think I've said this before, but it's just part of endings and new beginnings. Every new beginning starts with an ending, and that includes an identity. So like if it's a relationship or a job, it's who you were. It's not just the job that ends or the relationship that ends, it's who you were in that relationship or job. And there might have been parts of that you actually liked. Or if you didn't like it, because not everybody does. If there wasn't anything to like about it, maybe it was just habituated and it was comfortable. All right, sorry about that. I got interrupted by an alarm on my phone that I forgot to turn off. If you noticed a glitch, sorry about that, I'm back. All right, so I was saying that sometimes there's a part of ourselves that we have to like let go of. We have to let go of the identity, and we sort of have to grieve that identity even if we were ready to let it go. There's a process by which we're like, okay, I'm not going to be that same person that I used to be in that way, because it truly is done. Not because I'm pushing it under the rug, but because that's done with. So there is this tendency to not necessarily recognize that the good in the loss. What are some... I want to ask another question. Oh, some pitfalls. What do we need to watch out for internally? This would be like your thoughts and feelings. Okay, there's watching out for the Fool, watching out for our tendency to not look before we leap. Like we can follow our heart and not be, and not make like a bad, yeah, what I'm seeing here. So 10 of Pentacles is, there's this thing when we start to like lean into our heart space where we tend to like forget our reasoning and we forget our other things. And the goal is sort of to hold those things lightly. It's not to get rid of them, right? It's to hold them lightly, because you don't want to make decisions that are going to put yourself in a tremendously bad spot, like financially speaking. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. I was like, do I need to say more about that? Spirit will tell me if I need to say more about that. Yeah, this is like getting carried away with the excitement and the passion on this new path that you are embracing. Being mindful that we can be tuned in and inspired without getting absolutely carried away, and forgetting all of our good sense, right? The things that we know to be true. We still have, some of us might still have a house we have to take care of. Maybe there's kids involved. Maybe it's just you and your cat. Yeah, in the heart space, it's just this tendency to not want to look at endings. You just want to, it's that same thing I was saying earlier. This person that this reading is for, you want to skip the grieving, you want to skip the loss and the death and the ending. And you want to run towards your future, but you've got to do a little bit of cleanup first before this is really going to be a healthy decision. You've got to just clean up, because if you don't clean up who you were in this situation, you're just going to attract it again. Unfortunately, that is what we do. We have patterns. Let me pull some guidance from Spirit. I'm going to pull from the Urban Crow Oracle. I love this deck. It's new to me. It's actually pretty new. I have her tarot, and I love the tarot as well. So what do you have for us for guidance, Spirit? Curiosity. Yeah, curiosity is, I like that energy for what this reading is talking about, because curiosity is a thing where we ask questions, we maybe take steps, we explore, but there's something, I don't want to say hesitant about it. There's just something a little bit softer about it than charging forward like the King of Wands would do. Charging, or the Fool. The Fool would just jump off the edge of the cliff, and the King of Wands would just step all over anybody to get where he's trying to go. Curiosity is sometimes a good energy to lead with when you want to stay in that softer place of the heart and the softer place of the mind. Curiosity asks why, it asks when, it asks questions. It doesn't necessarily get caught up in the details, though. It's not really overthinking things, it's just asking. Observation, again. Observation is noticing. It's not necessarily passive, but there is a need here in this reading to pause before you run forward and do that work to clean up. There's something here about observing connections. We have the spider web and the spider. If this is about work or creativity, I do feel that you're being called to pay closer. If you've lost a job, it may be time to pay closer attention to your creative life. That doesn't mean that you're going to make a living off of your creative life immediately, but you may be being called to pay attention to your creative life. You may be being called to network, to find a new job as well. And routine. So this is about the importance of staying grounded in a routine of some sort. So routines can be sort of shadow or healthy, right? And clearly, the message here is to pay attention to your routines. So if you've got stale routines that need to end, sometimes when we end a job or end a relationship, our routine gets all out of whack, and that's half of what we're upset about. You know, it's hard to start a new routine. So there may be a need for you to start a new routine to let the old routine go. Maybe time for you to re-examine habits that you have created in your life that aren't serving you anymore, and start fresh. But there's also a need here for somebody. And again, you know, if this is you, this is for that person that was feeling a little bit out of their body. Maybe they weren't so grounded. There's a need for you to kind of fix your circadian rhythm and start. So like if you've lost a job and you're jobless, if you're searching for a job, or if you're trying to like get into your creativity, if you're using this time to get into your creativity, routine is really, really important. It's not something that you want to lock yourself up in. It's not about being in a prison of your own making, which some people view routine as. It's about creating ease and flow in your day. Routines can actually create more ease and more flow. They can decrease the number of decisions that we have to make each day. The decision is already made for you. If you have a routine of getting up and having your coffee, taking a shower, getting dressed, then going and writing, or then going and looking for a job, then you don't have to make a decision about all those things, and you can use your brain energy on what's important. Something here about night. Have you been staying up all night? Is that messing with your routine? Or are we talking about something about the intuition? Are you needing to plug into your intuition more? Are there some observations that you are making in the shadows about yourself and about the past are those things that you can bring into, that you can be curious about. Like, what if I changed this? What if I did this differently? And then observe the changes as you do that and see how you feel about the new routine. And just a couple more. Yeah. Flexible, but not too flexible is what I heard. Staying flexible. Again, it's this routine thing. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't have, if you had the job that like, maybe your job was like overrunning your life, and there was no flexibility, and now all of a sudden you've got all kinds of time. Or maybe the relationship was very structured, it took up all of your evening time or something. And now that you're out of it, like you're out of routine and you have all this, like, I don't want to say it, like who thinks they have too much free time? Not really. Nobody really feels that way. I don't know though. I have caught myself in times where I was like, okay, I have far too much free time and I need to do something with my time. So this is about recognizing where you're flexible and where you are being willy-nilly, and recognizing the difference between that. Thus the need for some routine. Maybe not jam-packed through your whole day, but a little bit of pattern to give you less decisions that you have to make. Going the distance. So the reason that we're saving those decisions is so that we have the energy, the mental energy to go the distance through the night, through the dark time. Go the distance as we lean into these emotions that we have, as we lean into working on ourselves for our new beginning. Anything else, Spirit? And there's the Observer again. This time the Observer is a warning to not, while you're embracing observation, do not become a passive observer in your life. It's a two-sided thing. It's the wisdom of becoming the observer and the trap of becoming an observer. There's a slight difference in consciousness. One is becoming the observer is like leaning into your soul. It's leaning into who you really are, right? But then if you're not in your power when you're doing that, you're going to know, because you're going to feel like life is happening to you or around you. And we don't want to feel like that. That's why we wanted to balance. So there's a lot in this reading about balancing the need to sit back and take action. And I hope that you noticed that, because I definitely did. There's a need to pay attention to where you're out of balance with your action and with your need to like heal and balance yourself. It's not always an easy thing to do. It's very easy to say and not an easy thing to do. All right, so that's all I've got for you guys today. I will try to do another one later this week. But if you don't see me, then look for me next week. Okay, bye.